Hello, if we haven't met before, I'm Alexa. I'm the founder of Material Girls, which is the worldwide community of fiber artists. We have a lot going on, including a quarterly magazine, which is always available for free. It has free patterns in it. We have a group chat, which features a book club, and that's on Discord. I'll leave a link down below to join, but you can chat with people from all over the world about everything that you're making. Instagram meme page, of course, and what is most relevant to this video is that we also lead creative workshops and meetups in London, England. So through running these workshops, I get a lot of questions about how I find venues, how much things cost, kind of like the back end of how this is all done, especially from people who aren't in London, who are interested in starting similar community fiber art groups for themselves. So I hope I can be helpful today. I am super nosy and love to hear how people are running their businesses. So I am happy to do that for all of you as well. I'm going to take you through 3 events that I host throughout July. The first one is a evening sip and stitch, then a classic Material Girls club, and then a more facilitation based workshop where we're teaching skills, things like that. So I'll show you the whole back end of that, how I found venues, how I ticketed, how much things cost, and then I'll meet you at the end for a little Q&A. I asked people on my Instagram specific questions that they want to know and anything that I feel like wasn't answered throughout the process of showing each of the events I'm going to answer at the end, which includes more general things on marketing, finding and building a community on or off social media, determining ticket prices, and just like the imposter syndrome confidence of it all with putting yourself out there and starting something like this. So I'll see you later for that. Good morning. It is the morning of July 4th. Tomorrow is July 5th when we will have the first event of the summer that I'm going to take you along to. It's going to be a magazine launch party at Pop Brixton, which is this great place in Brixton where it's like an outdoor beer garden, and all of the bars, and there's little restaurants as well, are in like boxcars that have been like repurposed and stacked on top of each other. So it just makes this cool outdoor space. So Sip and Stitch is just where everyone brings a project that they're working on and we all work on our fiber art and drink basically. So materials wise, what I'm providing at this event is a print copy of the magazine. So all I had to do was like make a whole magazine, get it printed, and then I designed some temporary flash tattoo sheets. So everyone's gonna get one of those tucked inside of their magazine as kind of like another fun block party thing to do. And then I'm covering everyone's first drink as a part of the ticket price, because I think that is just really nice for events like this to kind of show up and already have a drink ready for you. And usually if I like pre-order and buy in bulk, I can kind of get a better deal than if people were gonna buy their own drinks all night. It's hard to find sip and stitch spaces that are affordable, because a lot of places, especially in London, if you want to book out a large booking, which is usually like over 20 people, they want you to either pay a fee to like hire a space, or they'll want you to have a minimum spend that can usually be pretty steep. Pop Brixton is a pretty big venue and they often have pretty big events happening there, and you can pay, I mean, a lot of money to like private hire the whole space, but I'm not bringing hundreds of people. So I just went through their booking process on their website for large bookings, and usually for stuff over 20, you're not able to just like book it right away. You have to send an inquiry and they get back to you and say if they have space and like ask what area you'd like to be in and things like that. So I went through that booking process and they didn't ask for any money up front. They just took my card, and if we don't show up, they're going to charge it like £400 or something. So everyone show up. I mean, I'll show up, and so they won't be able to charge the money, but that's just kind of like them assuring that you don't make a big booking. They save space for you, and then you don't like show up and spend any money. So that's my first piece of advice with sip and stitches. Try to find a place that's big enough so that your group isn't taking up a majority of the space in there, because it makes sense like with a small wine bar and stuff, if we're taking up half the place, they want to make sure that we're going to spend money taking up all that space. But Pop Brixton, it's like, yeah, you want to have 25 people in the corner, like sure, I'm sure they'll buy enough drinks, and also we have like way more people here as well. How I went about it to get everyone's drink is that they have party packages, so I'm going to be able to order beers as a part of a package to have them waiting there on the table for us when we get there, which is first of all nice for me that like it's just going to be waiting there, and also we got a bit of a deal for buying it in bulk. So each sip and stitch we've done has kind of been, you know, 3 very different experiences as to what the bar wanted, how we went about finding the space. When it comes to finding spaces, I'm just like trolling Google. I go on TikTok and social media because I feel like there you can find places that are kind of like vibey, that the girls are liking right now. Sometimes it's places that I have, you know, personal connection to. Pop Brixton is around the corner from where we host Material Girls Club. A lot of people actually go there after Material Girls Clubs to get drinks. So I kind of already knew about the space and then just looked into what it would be like to book it. Yeah, so it's really just like doing your research, finding a vibe of a place that you like, and then approaching them to see kind of what their booking process is like, being prepared for it to be more expensive than you expect to and having to pivot. But I feel like I found some good places now where I kind of know what the deal is. Ticket price breakdown for this one, £15 was the sticker price. Then it was £6 for each person's first drink, about £2 to print a magazine, and then £1 to get the temporary tattoo flash sheets. My beginner sip and stitch advice is number 1, go on a weeknight, at least when you're starting out. these bars want business and weeknights are a time when they're not going to complain about having it. Go to a place that's big enough or established enough that they often handle large bookings and they kind of already have a process for this. They're not going to see this as like an odd request. And then price your tickets to include a first drink. I think everyone wins in this situation because usually the people who are coming get a good deal on a first drink. The bar feels, you know, good that they know that at least some money has already been spent. You kind of have a minimum spend built in, and then it works for you as well because you can keep track of tickets and know how many people are coming. Welcome to Material Girls Club. So it is the morning of July 13th. We have our monthly meetup today, and I'm going to tell you a bit about how I set these up, how I started them. This is, I think, the event that Material Girls is the most known for, and so I get a lot of questions about starting your own crafting group and like how to run a meetup and things like that. Everyone brings a project to work on, so they'll bring whatever they're working on, crochet, knit, any fiber artist, welcome. And we'll all sit and chat, work on our whips, and we also do a little girly craft together. So like today, we have these little lighters and a bunch of jewels, and we're gonna decorate lighters. So it's just kind of like birthday party theme, girly craft stuff like that. As you can see, we are not in like a super glamorous room. I love our little conference room. It's been great, and I'll talk about how I found this space. But it is very much like we're dressing up a conference room to be girly birthday party vibes. So we have our pink tinsel that I roll up and reuse each time, put pink tablecloths on the tables and just try to kind of make it cute, which it works. Like we're a crafty community, so feeling a little scrappy I think is fun and cute and part of like the charm of Material Girls. This is in a community building that is like a renovated, this used to be an office building, and this organization took it over to kind of convert it into more usable community space. And so on the bottom level, they have this room that like people can rent out for community events. It has everything that I need, so like all the tables and chairs are just in a closet and I can do whatever I want with them. Yeah, it's always clean, it's well lit, it's temperature controlled, like we can control all of that. So it's really like an ideal situation. If you're interested in starting a craft meetup, I would definitely recommend kind of getting a community space, first of all, because they're going to be more likely to work with you on lower rates, and also because they're often set up kind of with everything that you need. So I really just roll in with like the decor and make it cute, but I don't need to worry about like bringing tables, bringing, you know, all that stuff. Like it can get really intense if all you're getting is a room, you know. I found this place through like the talk of the town, South London, around Brixton. A lot of people do events out of this space, not just in like the craft community, like all sorts of things. There are a lot of youth organizations that work out of here. It just has a great reputation of being like a place that is very community centered and wanting to have community events like this in it. So I think I originally saw it on social media, heard some people talking about it, and then approached them about, you know, getting involved. Find a community center, find a library, something like that, like places that are looking to put on events for the community versus make money off of, you know, you wanting to put something on, which is what would usually happen if you approached like a corporate center or a bar or whatever. Price-wise, I have seen stuff for renting rooms all over the board. If it's like a community event like this, I've seen places that are as low as like £50 an hour. And then obviously for like corporate fancy spaces, it can be anywhere between like 150 to like £300 an hour. So it's really across the board. You really just have to like do your research and again, try to approach a venue that's going to want to work with you. They want your event to be there, and so they want to make it accessible to community members. I pay £150 a day to rent out this space. So that means I come about like an hour or two early to set things up. It's a 2 to 2.5 hour event, and then it takes like 30 minutes to an hour to tear down. So it's not charged by the hour, but that is how much just kind of like the block of time is. So I feel like that's a great deal. It all gets covered in ticket sales, which I'll go over in a second. I had a lot of upfront costs when starting Material Girls because I decided I wanted further crafts to be a part of it. Like I thought it was a nice idea that we would all bring our whips, but we'd also have a craft that not only just has like a fun, cute, girly vibe, but also it was something that we were like all doing together, which I think is cool for the community aspect. So there were some upfront costs that I don't have to factor in every time, but that were certainly something that like I fronted in the beginning, and I think I've since like paid myself back for. But things like, you know, 30 pairs of scissors, like I might have 1 month where I need to rebuy a bunch of materials, like I'm out of my glitter sticker sheets or whatever, and I need to buy that 1 month, or there could be another month where I buy like no materials because I just have enough kind of from the store of girly craft materials that I have started since. So that changes a bit every month, and there were definitely some upfront costs, especially with things like hole punchers and jewelry pliers and just like things like that that I'm never gonna rebuy again. But I did want to make sure I had all those things set for like a whole group of people to do. I charge £15 for the tickets. I think it's just a little bit over £16 when the Eventbrite fees are all said and done, but I get £15. And how that breaks down is splitting the venue hire amongst everyone is about £5 per ticket. I figured out just kind of like through doing this over the months that I can bet about like $150 per ticket needs to go towards the craft, and that's just because, like I said, some months I'm buying more than others, but I feel like that's a good kind of like amount to average. 50 pence per ticket for the snacks. This isn't a snack club, it's not fancy, I just like go to Sainsbury's, but it is something to keep in mind because that is part of like what I tell people they'll get in the tickets is like we'll have a little snack bar set up, and that's £8 per ticket left over. That's paying me for, you know, the time setting up, tearing down, marketing, getting everything together, like working on materials. I mean, so much. Like I hesitate to call it profit because like that is like there's a lot of other work that's happening behind the scenes on stuff like this. Also got some questions about workshop sponsorship, so I'll talk briefly about that. We don't have any sponsors at this day's workshop, so it's not something that I do all the time because it is a lot of like outreach and also just like back and forth with brands. It doesn't always line up that I have a sponsor for every workshop. By sponsorship, I mean that we've had times when brands have sent drinks. I think that's really fun, so we'll have like a fun little functional beverage or like seltzer or something that everyone gets one. I've had yarn sponsorship before where a brand will send a skein of yarn for everyone, which is super fun. Of course, like a big hit with this crowd. Basically, I've gotten all those through pitching brands. I started the idea because I wanted it to kind of feel like, you know, everyone got a special little like gift for coming. Like I wanted people to have fun yarn and just have a little treat, you know? So I would reach out to brands and I would pitch them and say like, this is what Material Girls is. You know, we're selling out these clubs. It's over 30 people who would get eyes on your products. Obviously I post all this stuff across my social media, and so I'll like give them the stats on what that looks like, what kind of content it would be involved in. The sponsorship is a completely like social media thing. That's what I pitched to them, is that they're going to be involved in a lot of content and all they have to do is send like 35 products over. I'm definitely a proponent of the craft meetup. I think everyone should have a local craft meetup, and I hope that any of this was like helpful in getting that set up. But my biggest advice is find a community space that wants to work with you, because this does have value to the community. You know, I've had people say to me that they have been thinking about moving out of London and that Material Girls is like a reason that they don't want to leave. Like they'll miss Material Girls and they feel like this is a way that makes them feel really connected to community here, which like so touches my heart and I so relate to. As someone who's not from London, like this was one of the first places that I felt, you know, connected to other people, connected to community. It's so clear the impact that it has on communities because you see people coming back again and again and really forming friendships here. So if you can find a venue that understands that, wants to do that, wants their community to be able to be a part of something like that, you can definitely get a deal going. Let's chat about our next event. This is going to be a collaboration with my friend Awana, who runs Artisan and does zine workshops around London. We're going to be doing an event called Craft Party, and we're going to be making fabric zines, which I think is a good like mesh of both of our practices together. So very fun, scrappy, collagey. Everyone's going to get paper and fabric scraps and embroidery thread. We're going to teach them very basic, you know, skills to be able to collage and make little fabric zines, which will be adorable. We're also going to have friendship bracelets and a little zine library to look through, and the venue is very exciting, which I'll talk about in a moment, but there's going to be like a bar there. They've made us a custom drink, so I think it'll be really good crafty vibes. I feel like this is in a different like category of workshops than I usually do, so this is something I call like a skills-based workshop. Like I'm doing some very hands-on facilitation. They'll come and I provide all the materials and instruction. I'm usually like teaching a new skill versus the more like meetup vibe things, which is more like the other events that I've described in this video. The venue is super cool. It's Art Hotel Hoxton, which is this hotel in Shoreditch that's all about art. Like they have a gallery, they have a cinema, they also have like some cool like sauna stuff, whatever, but all the rooms have art in them, and it's just like very much an artsy vibe of like trying to get people involved with the local art scene when they're visiting London. On a space through collaboration and networking. So Awana, who I obviously already know, we've worked together before, got invited to do a zine workshop at this hotel. Like they found her Instagram and thought it looked cool. They're looking for cool cultural events, and in the process of them like talking about that, she had mentioned to them that we were interested in doing a collaboration. We were looking for a venue to do it at, and they invited us to do it there. So it has been such a gift because, like I said, this is a very new venue. They're really looking to get cool events in there, and so they gave us a hell of a deal, which is free. Like they did not charge us anything for the space. We're going to be in this beautiful gallery and basically get like a private hire of this gallery, and they didn't charge us at all for it. There'll be a bar in the space that they make money off of, so it's kind of a win-win. A cool cultural event happening that they can push guests to and just have as a cultural offering. It also draws in new people to the hotel, like London locals who might not otherwise like spend money at the hotel will come to the event and then, you know, spend money in their bars and whatever. So they get a new audience, they get money from the bar, and then we obviously win because we get a free space, and it's gonna be sexy and like probably one of the nicest places that we've put on workshops before, because usually, as you've seen, they're in like very community centery kind of vibes, which is great, but this is gonna be kind of like high fashion, like we get to put stuff on screens and like make assets for it and stuff. So getting this opportunity was very much like a right place, right time, networking, collaboration, network kind of situation. And I think something that I've learned about networking is I used to think that networking was like you work the room and you try to find someone who has like the perfect job ready to go for you and you impress them. And I feel like I've learned so much about how in the creative space that is not what goes on, because people, especially in creative spaces, are working on this project or that project, and they might not have anything like going on right now, but they'll have a ton going on in a few months. Talking about the work that you do eloquently so that people understand what you're doing. A lot of times I think I have not been very good at explaining how the different like aspects of Material Girls all come together. I feel like I'm just starting to get a hang of that now. And ever since I have, I feel like more opportunities are coming up, because someone who I met, you know, at a gallery 3 months ago will reach out and be like, oh, like this thing just happened and they're looking for someone who specializes in fiber arts, so I thought of you. And I feel like that's what I'm learning about creative networking. It's just kind of like being open and willing and kind, and like showing that you would be a good collaborator, so that when an opportunity does come up, you're front of mind for people. Price breakdown, obviously I said we're getting the space for free, which is very rare. It makes this workshop a lot easier for Awana and I, obviously, because we can actually pay ourselves. Ticket prices are £20. That's split between Awana and I evenly, so I will get £10 from those tickets, and then from that I budgeted like £2 to £4 per ticket for materials. That's partially because I'm using a lot of the same materials that I've already like purchased and paid off in past workshops over the summer, like upcycling workshops and things like that. Okay, I'm about to roll my questions, but I'm sitting here editing this video and realize that I completely forgot to mention what I think is the most exciting announcement of the video, which is that I want to make a little knit club finder on the Material Girls website. Obviously, I'm making this video because I get questions about starting your own crafting club, and I also get questions from people who say, like, I wish something like Material Girls existed near me, like, how can I find one? I want to get everyone connected here because people are looking to start them, people are looking to join them, and a lot of them comment on Material Girls, so maybe we can make a little centralized place. I think everyone deserves a local crafting club. I would love to help facilitate that. I put a form up on the website, and I'll link it below as well, to submit a crafting club. And basically, if you run one, if you just know one around you, there's one that you go to that you want other people to be able to find, fill out the form. And the requirement is that there's like some sort of regular meeting time and some sort of landing page where people can find out more. That can be like a website or a social media account or a ticketing page, like literally anything, just so that people can click through and find out more. So I'll be super excited to see what people nominate and put out there, because I'll be curious, you know, what cool knit clubs are happening around the world, and take a look into them, put them on the website, and hopefully it helps you guys get connected with your local crafting community. That link will be down below. I'm back for some questions, so we're gonna get right into it. My most asked question is if it's possible to start something like this without a big social media audience, and the answer is absolutely yes. And I want to say quickly that Material Girls does have pretty big social media platforms, but actually I think some people might assume that like I just put stuff out on social media once and then the tickets sell out. Most of the people who follow Material Girls are not even in London to be able to come to our events. Obviously there are a lot of Londoners on there, but like people also follow to see the magazine and to see designs and to see tutorials and things like that. So it's a wider like brand that I'm trying to build there. Every time I host an event, people always come who like don't even know what Material Girls is. They just found out about this specific event through like a more community marketing tactic that anyone could do. And then from there, I'll introduce them to Material Girls, and I always put out, you know, that's why I put out flyers and stuff that explain we have a magazine, we have all these other things going, because not everyone comes from social media, not everyone knows about those other things going on. First step is to figure out what ticketing platform is relevant in your area. So in London, Eventbrite, OutSavvy are really popular ones, and those are great to be on, first of all, because they handle like the transaction of people purchasing tickets. So it's great to have that, but they also have search functions so that people can go onto Eventbrite and be like, knitting events happening this weekend, and they'll find Material Girls Club and they'll come, and they don't have to know anything about it. They just are looking for an event. So figure out what platform is relevant in your area to be able to do that. I would not recommend selling tickets like only through social media or on your own website. Like get yourself onto another website that's going to boost kind of what you're doing. If you sell only from your own point of sale, no one new is going to find you. It's only going to be people who already know about you. So I think that I've had some real success with like people coming and saying they found out about something that morning on Eventbrite and then they're there that afternoon. So it's really a great way to get your stuff out there. And there are community like online forums that you can get involved in. So if there's a Reddit thread for your city about like things to do, can you post on there to get people involved? Or is there some sort of group chat that you can join? You're always welcome to go into the Material Girls Discord, link down below, and find like a regional room and say, hey, I want to do something in Los Angeles this weekend, like who wants to come be a part of it? And we've got the old fashioned stuff, which actually works really well, and I'm talking about print marketing. So make something on Canva, print it out, put it up on a bulletin board that's in the local library, your local coffee shop, or your local yarn store, like anywhere that you're trying to get people together that you think of a similar vibe might be there. Put up a flyer, that's gonna work well. Similarly, the newspaper. People read the newspapers. I recently did an interview with the Brixton local paper. It's a paper that gets put out for free in pubs and stuff. A bunch of cool people came to the next couple of workshops that I put on, and they were like, yeah, I was just sitting in the pub and saw you in the paper and I came to your workshop. And take out an ad in the paper, you can reach out to your paper. Sometimes there's a column of arts and cultural events coming up that they would include your event in. Another often asked question in kind of different ways is how to make a profit off of things like this. How I work out price per person is a very simple product pricing method, which is that you should be charging twice as much as it actually costs you to make something. So if you're making a product, basically you want to sell it for as much as it costs to make it, plus how much it will cost you to make the next one. So you can have a sustainable rollover business model. That's what I do with my ticket pricing as well. So as you saw with the breakdown of prices, pretty much all of them, I just figure out my costs for the venue and materials and everything, and then I double it because that will mean that I have enough to start off with making a new event. That also means that if things don't sell as well as I want them to, they don't sell out, I only need to sell half as many tickets as I planned to in order to at least break even. I think it's also important when pricing these things to look at similar workshops in the area just to get an idea of what people are willing to spend on something like this. You should be in a similar arena, don't undercut yourself too much and seem like you're not as high quality of a version of this workshop. Don't, make it so much that people aren't going to be willing to pay for it. Seeing what other people are doing similarly is really helpful. I also know people who do community events like this and have really good luck with grants, getting grants to fund, a series of workshops so that they can make either tickets less expensive or they themselves can just make sure they're actually paying themselves. That's great. I don't really do anything with grants, first of all, because it's really time consuming to apply to grants. And also as an immigrant, I'm not eligible for a lot of grants that happen in the UK because I can't access public funds. But I just wanted to throw that out there to say if that's something you're applicable for and that is available in your area, absolutely go for it. Just a note to gas you up and say that it's hard to be a young woman, a young artist, and advocate for people paying you fairly. And I feel very lucky to be in an artistic community where I feel in the fiber art space, we're always talking about paying creatives fairly and that artists deserve to be paid and that small artists, we should support them. That's not a controversial thing. So it was easier for me to kind of understand that because there was a supportive community that was affirming that. Just to say you deserve to be paid, you deserve to make a profit off of these things. A lot of work goes behind it. The default is probably that you're not paying yourself enough for the amount of work that goes into organizing a community like that. When this is a supportive community, no one here wants to see you sacrifice your own personal funds to fund a community like this. Everyone wants to rally around this and support this. People in your area will be grateful that you are putting something like this together. And the last category of questions that I was getting was about imposter syndrome and how to get over imposter syndrome about starting things. And that's hard. I mean, as I've been saying, being a young woman artist, it feels weird to kind of put yourself out there and say, I want to do this and I think it would be cool and I think people would find value in it. My base piece of advice is that if you're looking for a community like this, there are absolutely other people around you who are as well. When I started Material Girls and started doing workshops, I was new to not only London, but the country of England. I knew very few people here and the call was answered. There were other people who were yeah, I want to hang out and make friends with other fiber artists. And now we're here into these events and I know a lot more people and it's so fun to do these things and have familiar faces come and really feel we're building community. And if that's something that you are yearning for, absolutely other people around you are as well. So I hope any of that was helpful, interesting. Comment down below if you have any further questions. I'll try to be useful in the comments if there's anything that I missed. Comment any advice that you have if you've done something similar, things that have worked or not worked for you. Let me know if there's any other videos you'd like to see that are kind of behind the scenes business stuff. I like sharing this stuff because most of the work that I do is this behind the scenes stuff. So I like documenting it. I like sharing it. I know that it's stuff that I used to crave watching, to see get in people's minds and know how they're doing these things and how they're making these decisions. So if there's anything else you'd like to know, completely open to always hearing those things. But until next time, make sure to subscribe for more London craft content. Click the links down below to check out more about Material Girls, and thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.